Hello traders, welcome to the weekly outlook and setups volume 286. Iliya here. You know what we're going to be doing, just jumping straight into the markets, having a look at what happened last week, and of course most importantly try to draw a forecast for what is incoming into the next week. So without further ado, let's check out the economic calendar and get into the technicals. All right, so looking at the economic calendar, kind of looks like we have a lot of news, but for the USD, nothing much. So on Monday, we're starting with a pretty slow day. That is how it usually starts. Now, again, Mondays tend to be very 50-50. A lot of times, it's if something happens during the weekend, you have to be reading the news. Maybe Trump says something. Maybe there's some development within the trade war. And then usually Mondays tend to open with a big bang, right? But of course, we have no news on Monday. You just have to be monitoring your news outlets. Tuesday, we have some Aussie interest rate, very important. You can see cutting the rates by a lot, right? So very interesting here. And then CAT CPI, and then Wednesday, GBP CPI, very important for the pound traders, ECB, financial stability reviews. Not sure what that is. So again, yeah, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, nothing for the US dollar. We do have kind of some other news, so maybe we can be looking to trade CAT or Aussie dollar. And then on Thursday, we have the PMIs. When the PMIs come out, they're like French, German, then the Eurozone, then GBP, and then USD. So Thursday kind of looks like a good day. And then on Friday, we also kind of don't have any important USD news. We have some GBP retail sales and CAT. Like, it seems like we have a lot of CAT this week. So CAT here on Tuesday and then CAT here. Thursday is probably going to be the best day because we have all these PMIs. We can be expecting that the market is definitely going to move on Thursday. So that is where our main focus should go. And of course, in the meantime, we're just going to show up in the market and track it. But there is nothing really so important to be worried about, like a US CPI or interest rates or something like this. So of course, we can focus on the technicals. Before we get started, make sure to join my free school community. It's an absolutely incredible, positive community with a lot of value from everybody. And the classroom here is a full course that I've never shared anywhere. So make sure to join. It's the first link in the description. All right, as always, getting started with the DXY. Now, I'm not sure if you watched my previous outlook, but I kind of tried something different and I did like it myself, but you guys didn't give me much feedback about it. Because what I decided to do is to keep my analysis from last week and then just start with it to see how the market developed based on that outlook, and then of course go actually from the lower time frames to the higher time frames, right? So instead of starting from the monthly right now, I keep my drawings and I'm just going to jump onto the 4-hourly time frame to have a look at my overall forecasts here. So we had that daily imbalance, we had that 4-hourly bearish. So again, I had kind of three overall scenarios, right? Scenario number one was first to push into that 4-hourly, react, and then attack the liquidity, which is pretty much what happens. But again, that was mainly driven by that news that we had over the weekend, right? A lot of positive news about US and China, and it was actually Monday in the morning when they actually released the news, and this is when we saw a massive rally, right? And then, of course, the other one was to pull back into the daily imbalance, then go long from there. And then the other one was, of course, to continue going short. Now, of course, you can see this is why, again, focusing way too much, for example, on trying too hard to see what is going to happen on a Monday. It's not a extremely productive task because you can see Monday opens and it just absolutely rallies. And then guess what, guys? You have to be adapting because, of course, one of our scenarios played out. Okay, very good. But then what do you do afterwards? All right. And then pretty much, as you can see, just to walk through what happened this week, the market immediately started giving us the bearish order flow, right? So where a lot of traders are going to go wrong here is they're going to say, right, this is why I personally don't trade a lot of market structure anymore, is you're going to say, hey, massive push, break of structure, I'm looking for pullback and longs from the 50%. But you can see we had amazing shorts right here, dipping all the way down to even fill that gap here, right? And then the market ended up consolidating, not giving us any shorts, right? Sorry, not longs, but here there was also another short, and then here we kind of started consolidating. So there was a very big trade that the community, me and my community took on Wednesday. This short here on the DXY, which was a long on EU and long on GU, and also there was an amazing trade on Friday that I took for shorts gold when the DXY popped up. But overall, we kind of started consolidating on Wednesday and Thursday, which got a little bit unclear. So if I just right now go back to the weekly time frame, we're still kind of inside this weekly bearish imbalance, but I start to disregard it a little bit because it's already been 3 weeks that we are kind of tapping inside. Candle 1, candle 2, candle 3. We're kind of throwing wicks on the top, but we're really not committing to the downside. All right. And then if I go to the daily time frame, right, we had this very tricky daily imbalance being created, right? And it gave me very mixed feelings, right? The market was kind of bullish, but you know, on the quality time frame, we were pretty bearish, right? So that gave me a lot of doubt on that day. But, and again, you can see at the end of the day, we kind of ended up consolidating. So currently, if you actually look at the candle anatomy, right, I wouldn't necessarily say that this daily imbalance is broken. It kind of looks like we're still reacting from it. And even if you want to take, for example, this order block or demand zone, whatever you like to call it, right, we're still respecting it, okay? So currently, the main thing to be looking at for longs is whether the quality time frame is going to start picking up on the long side, okay? So the very last thing that we did this previous week was to pretty much, again, create a higher low formation here. All right, so the market pushed, it made a lower high, it tried to break, kind of, you can see lower highs, but it didn't really make a major lower low right there, creating that market structure shift pattern and also creating that structure break here, right? You can say it might be internal, right? You might say, oh, the market right now flush from the high to the low. I'm looking for shorts right here, but you're missing the point that the very recent price action right now, it's actually bullish. Okay, so I am seeing this bullish scenario right here. I do like it. This is also a very nice hourly order block here, these last sell candles before the very big buy. So again, I would say looking for more on the long side, and I'm going to be targeting low hanging fruit. So for example, the first target is going to be this. And then of course the second target, well, pretty much it's going to be this, but did we already tap that one? No, we did not. So this is going to be the next target, which is literally just immediately next to that high. And then of course afterwards we can be looking for the market to potentially even take out the high. Now this is, guys, the bullish scenario. All right, so I'm going to be looking for the market to start respecting this one and then potentially make an uptrend towards that high. And of course there is always going to be the opposite scenario. This is why you always have to keep an open mind. What if the market disrespects that hourly, breaks structure, makes a hourly bearish imbalance here? Then guess what? I'm going to start targeting this low and then eventually this low as well. Okay, if it makes a hourly bearish imbalance at some time in the week. So this is the DXY, but again, I would stay a little bit more bullish on it. So let's see if the other pairs are agreeing with that bullish bias on the DXY. All right, let's check out Euro USD coming in that weekly imbalance. But let me first see my forecast pretty much for the last week. So again, yeah, we were a little bit stuck here. We had a bearish imbalance, we had a bullish one, and then pretty much there were two outcomes because we had that weekly bullish imbalance. But you can see, guys, like a lot of us are too fixated on these hard time frames that we actually don't really look into the lower time frames to see what is currently driving the market. Because I saw that weekly bullish and then I saw that little hourly bullish here and I was like, okay, I really have confidence in potentially into that long trade, right, coming from that weekly. But you can see again, the market opens, breaks structure, creates a gap, pulls back into the gap, and then it just sold off like crazy. All right, so actually the bearish scenario played out. This is why, again, guys, I always tell you, right, don't fixate in the market. I saw somebody in the comments also mention gold is gonna go long or short, and I think it did exactly the opposite. Do not once again get fixated on any outcome. So what actually ended up happening is, again, that massive news on Monday kind of immediately got taken back all the way up, right? Because again, guys, if you usually, the faster the move up is, the faster the move down is going to be, as well as the rebalance mechanism, right? If you have like a regular trend going up, it's nice, but if you have a massive flush lower, you cannot expect that the market is just going to continue dropping lower because there were so many unfilled orders right here. And this is where the market wanted to pull back into. But as it started pulling back, actually, look at that. So if you look at the details, there was the very first sign that the buyers were taking over with this forward imbalance. I actually had a member taking this long and then pretty much scalping it towards this imbalance here. So taking a loan from here to here, very beautiful. And then the market started giving us the bullish signs that kind of gave us a little bit more of a bullish bias. But then pretty much, again, as I told you on the DXY, since Wednesday, it got a little bit tricky, right? So we came in, we took some liquidity. There was a beautiful long here, but we took that long on GU, right? And then it had a bullish here, right? And then it had a bearish here, right? And then it kind of didn't really hold from that one. And then it started doing some funky stuff, right? So this to me is non-tradable price action. If it had a bullish and then a bearish and then nothing holds, you can see the market was tapping into this bullish and then that bearish. And then the market didn't really follow through to the low. And then suddenly you're getting a bullish here. This is a consolidation. Okay, so what you do in this case, you just wait. You just wait for the market to get a little bit cleaner, right? So if you drop to the daily time frame, you can see it, guys, right? When the lower time frames are choppy, that immediately means this is a consolidation as well on the higher time frames. You can see pretty much after the massive flush on Monday, we immediately recovered on Tuesday, and then we had 3 days of doing absolutely nothing, just choppy candles right here, right? Massive weekend up and down, and then Thursday was an inside bar, and then Friday tried to do something. So let's say Friday is actually going to try to achieve pushing lower. Now on the weekly time frame, that weekly candle is very sketchy, right? It doesn't give me a lot of bearish vibes, but it also doesn't give me any bullish vibes as well. So dropping onto the hourly time frame to be reading, the very, very recent thing that happened is we broke structure similar to the DXY, and we created this hourly bearish imbalance, right? And there is of course the break of structure here. And currently to the left, we're not really tapping into anything. The very small thing that we could potentially tap is going to be this forward imbalance, and then afterwards it's going to be this low, and then eventually that lowest low. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so I told you that on the DXY I'm looking a little bit more for the long side. Okay, so I really want to see this forward imbalance get confirmed and start pushing lower, because again guys, the more you wait for the market to show you what it wants to do, the higher the probability is going to be. If you try to long the market from a lower low, right, you still don't know if it's gonna reverse, and usually you get caught into something like this trying to long this. But if you wait for the market to push up, right, to make a high, to make a higher low, to hold from your zone, all right, and then when the market starts making higher highs, right, the closer it actually gets to that high, the higher the probability is. All right, so instead of for you trying to catch the bottom here, wait for it to actually see it's holding, and then you can see just very easily went to the target here. Okay, so this is something that I would like to apply right now on EU. I still feel like it's a little bit uncertain after this consolidation, but if I start seeing it trending down, I would definitely be looking to short towards these liquidity targets. And guess what, guys? Always, right? What is the other, always play devil's advocate? What is the other scenario that can happen, right? Invalidating that hourly, breaking structure above hourly bullish imbalances, what do? You target the opposing side of the liquidity. Okay, so there are my two outcomes, but I'm favoring the bearish one. Well, here is GBP USD that I had quite a lot of confidence, honestly. You can see here, I didn't even give any other scenarios, right? And you can see what happens in this case, right? You jump into the market, you're very confident here, all right, it's looking very good, weekly bullish, hourly bullish, it's gonna rocket, right? But again, what you can see here is just lower highs and lower lows, right? And this was just another lower high. Wait for the market to pull back, wait for it to confirm, and then as it confirms, then you start targeting all these highs. Okay, so if you tried to long here the first thing on Monday, you got wrecked by the news, all right? And then the market pulls back a little bit deeper. It gave a very quick short right here with that forward imbalance, came in, reacted, and then it started really nicely popping higher. So pretty much the trade of the week for a lot of the Fanatic of my private community was this long right here, all right? This long was absolutely clean, okay? The market massively flushed, it massively recovered, and it was just getting extremely close towards the liquidity targets that we were looking for, right? So the market comes in, London opens, boom, liquidity targets fulfilled. That's the trade, right? We didn't try to long it down there trying to predict the market. We longed it when the market was absolutely clean, that it's actually going higher, right? So that is the trade of the week on GU. And then pretty much, yeah, we printed like again a reversal, but then we were tapping into, no, we didn't have anything. Like, look at that daily, it's absolutely chopped up. We kind of printed that bearish one, but then it started to chop, and right now it's definitely not clear, right? So if we just again go back to the weekly, we are sweeping the previous candle low, which is a bullish overall sign, right? On the daily time frame, again, you can see massive flush on Monday, Tuesday recovered, and then 3 days of a chop, right? So what that chop is, it's a consolidation, right? On the lower time frame, as you can see, we're not really moving, we're consolidating. So it's a little bit hard right now to also draw a forecast on this one. Like, to me, the other EU looked a little bit more bearish. This one also has like a very little, like, if you can't even draw your imbalances, if you struggle like I am right now, you should not probably even draw them, right? It is also not really clearly breaking structure. It looks like it's sweeping it right now. So to me, guys, GU right now is not the best pair to be looked at, because honestly, I cannot come up with a bias with it. I'm not bearish on this because it's really not convincing me to go down. Like, for example, EU, if we just quickly switch to EU right here, and why are you freezing right now? All right, EU broke structure, right? Clear body, clear imbalance, kind of looks a little bit better. And then GU is kind of sweeping the structure. Imbalance very small. I don't like it, okay? So I can say I would just look, guys, for more price action on GU right now, right? If it wants to go down, let it go down. I'm gonna short it when it again gets clear, right? Even if the market gets down there, okay, I'm still gonna find a short to trade towards that liquidity. That's the highest probability trade you can get, okay? And if the market wants to go up, let it go up, let it get close to all these liquidity points, and then you're gonna find your trade, right? So again, guys, here I am just very 50-50 on this one. I have no bias. I don't know what to expect, and again, I'm super honest with it. You don't need to know what's gonna happen next. I don't care, because if I wait Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, the trade is gonna present to myself like it did here on a Wednesday, right? Without knowing what is gonna happen, it just came in, we took it and took profit, okay? So that's GU. I would say just let's give it a little bit more time to truly show us its hand. Now, checking up Aussie dollar, this is a pair that I don't trade at all. I used to have success with it, but then it's really started chopping up and I don't touch it anymore. Now here you can see I don't have any outlook, right? Friday was here, no imbalances, absolutely nothing whatsoever. And again, liquidated a little bit into the highs and attacked the liquidity that I outlined here. And then from there, it very strongly reversed, right? So after taking the liquidity again, you can see immediately the order flow shifts, the momentum with a bullish imbalance. And then we also had this kind of similar long, but we traded GU. Here, popped up a little bit, didn't really come a little bit to take that liquidity here towards that high, and then again it reversed and it offered a couple of shorts, by the way. I had a member take a short, full short here, and then we also had another full short here. So a couple of shorts, but then it stopped, it printed bullish, and right now it's going bearish. You can see if you just zoom out a little bit, you can see what's happening right there. It's like consolidations within consolidations, right? Absolutely massive chop popped up, and then right now it's entering another chop. It's not trending lower and it's not trending higher. So Aussie dollar to me, I don't like it as a pair at all. Now again, on the weekly time frame, you can also see it on the weekly, by the way, right? Look at that massive weekly consolidation. Why would you trade that? And then just a massive manipulation, then a massive recovery. And right now again, you can see for 4 weeks, right, it's just chopping. So nothing on the weekly. We have that weekly bullish imbalance. Is the market gonna gravitate towards it? Maybe. And then dropping on the daily, absolutely no daily imbalances, which immediately means that if the daily time frame is not trending, making imbalances, then this to me is immediately a low probability market. Yeah, the last 2 days kind of a little bit slowing down. I'm confused on that one, honestly. Again, like it's also similar to GU sweeping this low right here. The very last thing we did on Friday, sweeping that low. We have an extremely tiny forward imbalance here as well. Do we have one here? Yeah, probably again the tiniest one. If you can't really see it clearly, don't draw it. If you of course trade imbalances, like look at that, like extremely tiny. So again, very similar here to what I said on GU as well. I have absolutely no bias. This one just tends to go down and then chop back up and then chop back down. You really have to be in the flow of the market here and just looking for your 4-hour imbalances, right? If this one pulls back into these ones and starts holding them, I would definitely love to target that weekly imbalance. And of course, to, for example, target that liquidity level here. And again, guys, like if it starts going higher to potentially break this structure here, if you break and close above that structure with a strong imbalance, for example, then we can target these highs, okay? So that's kind of going to be the game plan for this one a little bit. And I usually give kind of these two opposite scenarios when the market is overall choppy, right? If the market is clearly trending, if the hard time frames are supporting a certain direction, I would usually be a little bit more one-sided, okay? But in a market like this, that it's going up, it's going down, it's going up, it's going down, right? You cannot really say, hey, it's gonna go up, right? So let's see, I will definitely favor more the short side, because on the short side, I feel like we have a very important liquidity point here. We have this low as well. And if the market truly starts showing us the bearish signs, we can catch a very quick trade towards these two levels. So let's see. All right, NZD dollar is next. So here we actually had a daily imbalance that tapped and fulfilled the liquidity. This is a nice trade, right? This is a nice trade. But why I gave you this other scenario is because we were tapping into the weekly. And that weekly can potentially give us a lot of support, but no, pull back into the daily and then it just flushed, took the liquidity. This is why you always take profit of liquidity, because then the market reverses and hits your break even. So not a bad development on this one, but looking here right now, it probably looks a little bit chopped up. So again, still in that weekly imbalance. Again, candle 1, candle 2, candle 3. And you can see, by the way, every single week is sweeping the previous weekly low. Now, this is usually a bullish sign, showing us that the sellers are not really taking control, but at the same time we are getting bearish bodies, which is also showing that actually sellers ended the week in profit, right? So they prevailed. So very 50-50. And then you go to the daily. So I'm really gonna delete that weekly imbalance because you already tapped, reacted, then we tap again, reacted. So this one is just losing its steam right now, and I would expect that this one is gonna start going. For example, this zone was tapped, this is why we reacted from here. And then, for example, the next area that we can be looking for bearish targets is going to be this daily zone, right? But you can see the last couple of daily candles here are quite choppy. And then if I go to the forward time frame, again, similar to the rest of the pairs, like we went down, so there was probably a very nice short on NZUSD, although again I don't trade pairs like Aussie dollar and NZD dollar. Forward zone, very nice short, and then suddenly we get this very massive profit taking here. The market came into the last imbalance here, consolidated for what it popped up, right? But then as soon as it popped up, immediately it popped down, and it's creating right now this forward bearish imbalance. And I usually focus on the most recent ones, right? I don't care that, hey, we made a pop up and that structure is bullish right now or something like this. All I care about is who is currently in control, right? And this truly changed my trading, because how I used to trade is, again, hey, forward break a structure, let me wait for the 50% pullback and try to go long from here. Well, exactly from right there on the 50%, there was the short. All right. So again, guys, think about market structure, think about the liquidity as well, and what actually works and what really makes sense. Forward bearish right now, I would say this one doesn't look bad, right? I would definitely love to trade something like this. All of these liquidity points here are stacked up in a very nice trend line, for example, that can very nicely get taken. And then of course, towards the next target, this daily reaction area, I think we can potentially take some short. So let's see. I mean, I'm getting a short buys on EU, GU and AU a bit 50-50. This one I kind of like it also because this one looks like a pure manipulation here to stop out a lot of sellers in the market. It took out that liquidity because people were short, for example, from here, making profit. The market stopped them out because their stop loss would very likely be above that swing point, and then just boom, immediately reverses. So right now it will probably want to go down fast in order not to offer an opportunity for everybody to enter. So if you kind of get an opportunity on that forward imbalance, I think it could actually be nice if you're trading NZUSD. So let's see. I like the short here, and I'm gonna keep just this, right? But again, I always have to say, if the market just rockets, it validates, breaks structure, forward bullish imbalance, you have to be also ready for the longs. All right, let's have a look at gold. So I had here again a little bit mixed up expectations because we had so many imbalances and we have that daily bullish one, but the forward time frame was bearish. And again, what I have said here probably is let's just wait for the market to print some price action and then we're gonna trade it, right? So let it go up, right, pull back, and then we target the liquidity, or let it go down, pull back, and then we target the liquidity, right? And you can see the market picked up the bearish steam, right? It picked up the bearish side. But before that, somebody said, hey, gold is gonna go long, right? Wrong. The market just flushed on Monday, right? Immediately bearish imbalances, immediately bearish imbalances here. We had a very massive chop right here, right? But I took my last trade. When was it? I took it I took it yesterday. So I took a short. Yeah, I probably took that short here on a Friday. But there was an absolutely beautiful short on Wednesday that I missed. I missed that short right here from that forward imbalance. And in fact, there was this little guy. My community absolutely smashed that short. But honestly, the entry, when my entry pattern printed, the market already kind of took out the Asian low. So I hesitated and then it just dumped like crazy. All right. So one short here on a Monday, 2 shorts here on a Tuesday, 3 shorts here on a Wednesday, right? And then a short on a Friday, right? Absolutely beautiful week on gold if only you know how to flow with the markets. All right. And then, of course, we tapped into that weekly imbalance. We were expecting a reaction from that weekly. So if I delete everything else, we can see we pinged into it. And then we actually close above the imbalance, which is a very bullish sign. And then on the daily time frame, we actually have this very small daily bearish imbalance that right now is going to be very interesting to see if it taps. And even above here, right, we're having that daily. So you can see even before we kind of thought about, hey, like, here being bullish and the weekly being bullish, but the daily time frame failed to make a new high, right? And then it started printing bearish imbalances, really suggesting that the sellers were in control. But right now, again, you can see, guys, the overall state of the market across the board is like all of these daily candles here are a little bit consolidative, right? So Wednesday flush, Thursday push, Friday tried to push, it kind of failed. And right now, again, it's a little bit 50-50 because look at the positioning, okay? Like if you zoom out a little bit, where are you currently trading at? You're trading in a push and a pullback right now, so this could be a key reversal area, okay? But do you know if it's going to be a reversing area? Absolutely not, right? So anytime I see somebody in the comments say gold is going to go up right now to 3,500, I mean, this trader is very likely a beginner, right? Because you do not know where the market's going to go. It can open, start printing bearish, and go towards 23K, right? You just don't know. So again, guys, let us wait to see if it's actually going to turn up. And then as it turns up, you are going to get an opportunity to go long and catch your pips, okay? So currently on the hourly time frame, a little bit tricky because we had a massive flush and then we had a massive push, and then the market is kind of tapping into all of these zones to the left. At the same time, it printed this very small zone here, bearish, but how it closed is again looking like it's invalidating it. So again, we're kind of in this transition area, what looks like to be a consolidation here, manipulation, and right now we can potentially start heading higher. However, I would not call any longs until I'm pretty much sure of the longs, because if you zoom out, guys, what has been happening recently, right? Lower highs and lower lows. So if you're trying to long the market at any of these places here, you're just trading the wrong way. But if you're profitable, of course, no problem. So there's no right or wrong way, so I should take my words back. Sorry, right? There's no right and there's no wrong way to trade the market. If you catch all the bottoms and you're actually profitable, good for you, right? I am personally waiting for the market to truly show me the reversal, to truly show me the trend, right? So for me, a clear trend will definitely be established if we break above that high. Because still, if you just look at very basic market structure, what is the market doing, right? A high, a low, that's a lower low, that's a lower high. And right now we're trying to push for a new lower low, but we're failing. So kind of potentially printing that market structure shift pattern. But until we break for a new high, right, we can't really make it. Okay, so let us see. I cannot say that I'm long right here. I will definitely be looking for longs if it starts printing quality bullish imbalances here, right? And then I can look for a long trade like that, because I would like the longs on gold, but it's not sure yet, right? This can also very easily invalidate and continue for a little flush to be taking the opposing side of the liquidity. So as usual, gold is an instrument that requires a lot of focus and a lot of flow with the market, okay? So it's very hard to forecast gold with macro levels, right? It's very sentiment driven, something similar to the indices as well. A news announcement comes in, sentiment changes, then just boom, it starts flushing like crazy. All right, like the short that I took it somewhere from here, right, and then I just actually closed my profit very early. I took I don't know, I took a 1.5 hour, something like this, right? And then it just absolutely went like crazy. Why? Well, because of sentiment shift, right? There were some something with China, or again, I don't know, but it just flushed. So again, wait for it to develop, wait for it to show you what it wants to do, and then you're gonna trade it. All right, let's check out the JPYs. Starting with UJ, I was very bullish on this one because all I have is bullish outlooks. But now, of course, the market could have done it in many ways. And you can see just opened, pulled back a little bit, and then just absolutely rocketed. Daily imbalance was not tapped. We didn't even have a pullback to kind of start preparing for the market to go long. No, it just absolutely rocketed. So again, kind of our outlook became a little bit, I don't want to say it, but useless, because Monday pretty much validated, but it came exactly to this zone that I have drawn, which I don't know what that is. Looks like a hard time frame zone, probably weekly. Yep, so this is the weekly reaction area that I told you about, where the market can reach out for, and we're getting a very crazy rejection out of it. Okay, so then going on to the daily time frame, you can see we came in with a lot of bullishness. Okay, this is why you should always be aware, of course, of the hard time frames, because of course, if the very recent sentiment is very bullish, but we're tapping into a very strong reaction area, right, on a hard time frame, you're usually going to expect a reaction, all right? And you don't know how deep that is going to be. And you can see this one is getting pretty deep right now. To the form actually looks like a reversal right now. So this is the next daily reaction area, and what you can see here is we are currently bearish. So the very recent imbalance is bearish, right? The positioning of price right now is a little bit tricky, exactly on the Friday close. It's just above that daily reaction area, and it's way below the actual daily that we want to trade from. for example. And then if we drop to the hourly time frame, yeah, so no imbalances here. So this is want to be one of these pairs that I have to once again tell you, we need more price action. All right, there was the last hourly, it's failing, and there is nothing bullish to say we can go long from there. Yes, this one is, you can see like how I'm starting to doubt right now, and I'm not doubting, I just don't have any narrative to build into this market, right? It's just a massive up and a massive down, and right now it's stuck between two areas, and it doesn't really give me anything on that kind of a middle time frame between the higher and the lower ones. The 4-hourly time frame, absolutely amazing, right? But it doesn't give me anything, so I cannot really say anything right now because it can do absolutely everything, right? It can come up to the daily and then reverse. It can first tap the daily and then pull back, and then maybe from there we don't know what's gonna be happening, and it can probably do 1,000 other things. So guys, on UJ, I'm not getting a clear read on the market right now. It's literally, the positioning is kind of a, both looks like a higher low here in terms of the push pullback. It's a lower low in terms of that very recent daily push. So I would expect some sort of a, maybe a bigger daily pullback, and then if the sellers really start prevailing, right, I would love to see this, for example, the market to open bullish, tap us into the daily, and then to start reversing, so I can give this as an outcome, but I am really not sure. So not a good read. So I can actually type this one out for next week. Not a good read on Monday. Wait for more price action. All right, so that's my note on UJ. Let's see how the other JPYs are doing. Maybe they give us a bit more clue. Checking out Euro JPY from last week, just violated all those liquidity levels. But again, guys, it did it on Monday. So sure, I said longs, but Monday open, takes the first liquidity, gives a little pullback, takes the second liquidity, and then it reversed, right? So again, you should absolutely be flowing with the market, because when Tuesday opened, right, we were already looking for a reversal, right? So the long trade was fulfilled, good, but the nature of Forex is you trade from liquidity to liquidity, right? So you don't say, all right, we're gonna rocket right now to the skies. No, right? You start preparing and you have to flow with the markets. Now, the weekly time frame on this one is absolutely horrendous here. I would never touch a market that looks like that. But yeah, we pretty much fulfilled like a lot of liquidity here. So we've taken a lot of liquidity, and we're seeing it within the weekly time frame as well. Massively rejecting the daily time frame. The very recent price action on the daily is again bearish, driving us towards this very recent swing point. We're having that daily zone, but that daily zone is failing. So yeah, this one gives me definitely more bearish bias. And then here you can see on the hourly time frame, we don't have anything. Okay, some little reaction area on the hourly time frame here, and then after that there is nothing. So I would say it looks really nicely for shorts right now. Last week looks good for longs, right now looks good for shorts. I would really love if we pull back into that daily imbalance. That would be great, okay? But if the market right now suddenly pops lower with a hourly imbalance, then we can target the next liquidity. Those are my two outcomes. I can keep it as simple as that. And of course, guys, of course, right? Always be aware of the other thing that could happen, because you could be very, very bearish, right? And suddenly the market opens, it just absolutely rockets, and then goes to attack the opposing side of the liquidity, okay? But for now, I'm gonna say I'm more bearish on Euro JPY. Kind of looks good. This daily context is very nice, and then we can be looking to go short. So let's see how it plays out. GJ also very nicely fulfilling the overall liquidity targets, but once again, guys, like I wanted for us to pull back into the hourly and then go long, or to pull back into the daily and then go long, right? But then it just attacked that. And you can see I typed it here, low-hanging fruit, right? Ooh, there's an error there. But this was a very easy, and I probably said it's very likely that the market just pops to take out this. And then if it gives us a pullback, good. But no, it just popped, took it, and then just boom, exploded to the next liquidity target. And then from then we have that very large pullback. Now, of course, you could have definitely flown with the market, tried to take some longs here, and then of course tried to take some shorts here. But on the weekly time frame, again, we're taking a very important level here, and we're very massively rejecting from it. And on the daily time frame, again, like this weekly imbalance is not relevant, it's too far away. We had that daily bullish, and then suddenly right now we're getting a daily bearish right here, even a bearish above. So yeah, this definitely shows us that the sellers really took control after that liquidity sweep. And then right now I would say this is going to be our next target. I immediately see that we're going to be encountering a lot of support right here with that daily order block. Okay, But yeah, overall, guys, the JPYs are right now, as I look through them all, they're giving me a more bearish sentiment, okay? All of them have a daily imbalance. Now, USD JPY is the further away from that daily imbalance. But for example, if you get some sort of a pullback on these pairs, then of course, I think we could be looking for very nice shorts. The long side of things, if again we don't have like some crazy reversal due to some news, of course, like you should also be aware that again, we have a higher low, higher high. We're currently sitting at a higher low. However, really the order flow right now it's bearish, right? So in order for me to go long, I would really need to see this daily tap, react, break, tap the next one, react, break, and then as I really start seeing the curve starting to print bullish, then I can say that I'm going to be looking for the long. So for right now, I'm going to say shorts, just because the daily time from right now, the sellers are in control. All the JPYs looks like shorts. So let's see if that's what it's going to happen. All right, welcome to the futures part. So we're gonna be starting with ES, the S&P futures. So again, as I keep telling you for indices, I do not trade the higher timeframes here. I am using them always for buys and for overall direction, but I'm mainly focusing on the lower timeframes and pretty much scalping the market after the New York Stock Exchange opens. So here again, you can see we were pretty choppy again on a Friday, but then of course we had the good news over the weekend where the market gapped, and then we had the second good news in London session where the market absolutely popped. And then of course you can still see from there, quality bullish here, right? Quality bullish here. The market was just offering longs every single day. It doesn't matter that we're tapping into a monthly to the left. Like again, as I keep telling you, instruments like gold and indices, they are very sentiment driven, right? So whatever the sentiment is, whatever investors are thinking right now, that is what is going to happen. And pretty much I just believe that the dip is over, right? I don't really see the market right now making another low to take out the lows. So if you bought your stocks, you bought your stocks. I'm happy I didn't buy mine. And hopefully you also invested a little bit in the market. Now, there is a reactionary here on the weekly, all right? So if you're looking at the higher time frames, weekly is bullish, absolutely crazy candle, which is very nice. And then on the daily time frame, this one is too far away, so I'm gonna delete it. We have this right now. We're also having a gap here that is kind of left unfilled. So this one is eventually going to be pulled back into. But here also a very nice long on Thursday from that daily imbalance, and on Friday we also ended up popping higher. So yeah, the next target could have potentially be that a weekly imbalance, but again, it really depends, guys, how this is going to play out. Very sentiment driven. If you start getting a little bit more uncertainty, the market is going to start dipping, right? I would see kind of a dip to fill that gap, and then that dip from the recent highs to here, it's going to be like a 4%. And now we're talking about dips right now. 2 to 4 to 5 to 6% is usually a dip. 10% is a correction, right? A lot bigger. Now, we could be due to, for something like this, because if you have a look at the very recent price action right there, we have been trending quite violently to the upside. Well, not very violently, right, but very nicely, creating some very nice higher lows and higher highs. So there could be a potential hard time frame pullback a little bit, because on the daily time frame, you can see we're printing some pretty crazy bullish candles here going higher. We finally broke above this very important zone, right? So this one can actually pull back to get retested. This is why I think we could potentially have a little bit of a dip, but of course I'm going to be waiting for those dips to buy even more stocks. Okay, so as I keep telling you guys, with futures, for me it is just very hard to be making any sort of macro forecasts, because first of all, I don't think this is very productive to be macro forecasting the futures, which are very sentiment driven and they work amazing on the lower time frames. Now, of course, I can tell you I'm going to be looking for a pullback, let's say here, and then a continuation higher. And if the market starts going lower, I'm going to be looking for shorts targeting that daily. And of course, if the market just absolutely starts rocketing higher, I'm going to be looking to target that weekly as well. So those are kind of going to be my three potential outlooks. But again, the very key for indices, and of course, as with any market, is that you have to be showing up every single day and flowing with the market. But of course, I have a long bias. But if I start seeing any sort of shorts, I can definitely be expecting some sort of a pullback, because again, you can see that it's starting to lose a little bit of steam right here at the top. No forward imbalances, not a lot of strength. So I definitely feel like we are due for a little bit of a pullback. So let's see if that's going to happen next week. Well, Nasdaq is also just absolutely rocketing to the highs again. I had here, let's see if we were gonna pull back for a dip and then push up, or I was just gonna straight push up. The market just opened and already took the liquidity, and then again it just ended up popping even higher. Very nice trades on Nasdaq. It was a lot stronger than ES, but I'm usually trading ES. Maybe I should look a bit more into Nasdaq, but Nasdaq is way too fast for me. I like ES a little bit more. So we're already tapping, like the tech stocks are absolutely going crazy right now. So if you bought some tech stocks, good for you again. But weekly, tapping into a weekly bearish reaction area. The daily is pretty bullish. We're reacting from that daily bullish imbalance here for some very good longs on Thursday. Friday also continues to go higher. And then, of course, below that, we have this very big daily imbalance, which is, I think, this sort of pullback area here. It's going to be very nice, right? Because it's going to retest this whole area here, right? And then potentially we can look for another wave higher. Okay, so I'm kind of looking for something like that, but a pullback. I mean, something like this, not really, but more or less we could very soon be getting like something like this, or at least something like this, like a bearish week of some bearish price action could be incoming, okay? Because we're also tapping into that weekly. But of course, there is a lot of positivity. There is also a lot of greed starting to kick in. If you check out the fear and greed index, we are right now getting into a little bit more greedy territory, okay? And this is when the market actually starts pulling back, okay? So let's see, we're just tapping into that weekly reaction area. That can also be a cause for the market to drop. You can see on the forward time from here, it's starting to get a little bit consolidative the last two, well, not the last 2 days, honestly, like since Wednesday here, right? We tapped into the daily, very quick pop up, but you can see there is no follow through on the forward time frame, right? For example, here we had a beautiful forward imbalance, taps in, pushes up, pulls back, pushes up, right? Here it's starting to get a little bit choppy. So if we start forming some bearish price action, this is going to be my liquidity target, the first one. And then of course looking for this daily, like I would really love to see this daily being tapped on the futures, because from this kind of zone I'm going to be looking to buy more stocks, okay? But of course, if the market starts continuing higher, I will just keep longing. And of course, every single day I show up, I analyze, and of course I see what the New York Stock Exchange is going to do and how I'm going to act accordingly. So that's that right now. Again, no clear zones on the forward, no clear zones on the dailies. Something very recent to be traded. Absolutely popped up bullish this week. Next week could just continue going higher, but I would be very happy to trade short a little bit of a pullback and then to resume the uptrend. But it's not about what I'm going to be happy with. It's all about what actually happens. So let's flow. US 30 is usually the one that lags behind a little bit, but right now we are also pretty bullish on that one. And in fact, we even had a very nice pullback. This is something that I would really love to see with the other two indices as well. So if I delete everything and then I just quickly jump onto the monthly time frame first, we are about to tap into the monthly imbalance here on the US 30. That can also again be a cause for the rest of the indices to also maybe make a little bit of a pullback. A very nice bullish weekly candle here as well. Then dropping onto the daily, a very nice daily pullback. You can actually see that this is kind of the daily imbalance that I'm looking for a pullback on ES and Nasdaq, right? But actually YM already filled it, right? We still have that little gap, but it already filled it and it very nicely expanded from it. And right now we're just getting very super close to that monthly imbalance, which is going to be very exciting to see what's going to happen. But yes, overall, we just ended up taking the liquidity here on Friday. So that was a nice trade here. Honestly, longs into that liquidity. And just before that, we have this one. I don't like imbalances that are very far away from the current price action. I like them to be something like this, for example, and just print it up, tap it in, and then just continue from it. Like if you have an imbalance here and then the market starts doing boop and then it taps, usually within this this kind of leg here, you're going to be getting a lot of bearish price action with very recent bearish sentiment that you have to wait for it to fail in order to prove the longs. Okay, so I would really love to see the market tap into that monthly bearish imbalance. And then from there, are we going to start getting some pullbacks? Are we going to start? Are we going to continue crushing it up? Let's see. Again, nothing much to say. Like that's the problem with indices, is because usually on Forex I have a little bit more top-down analysis edge. Here, of course, during the week, as you're tracking the market, it's always good to see what is happening right now, right? What kind of zones are happening right now, and then of course to flow with that. But coming into the weekend right now and saying, hey, like we have that daily bullish imbalance, I think the market's gonna tap and go long from there. That's kind of the wrong way to approach indices, because they're very volatile. They don't listen too much on the higher time frame. So again, show up every day, read the lower time frame order flow, and you're gonna do amazing. DAX is continuing to stay above all-time highs, but it's getting a little bit too choppy here for my liking, so we're not getting any pullbacks on that one. On the weekly time frame, once again, we're creating another weekly imbalance. So this one is definitely due for a pullback, right, into a weekly zone. On the daily time frame, you can see it's starting to really compress. It's starting to consolidate. There is our new all-time high. And then, of course, on the volatile time frame, we just ended up the week tapping into this volatile zone. But how much power can the market get to push it towards all-time high? This volatile imbalance is already taken. So that was a nice long here on Friday. Actually taking it on a Monday open here, on a London open, sorry. And we actually just took that one as liquidity. So again, guys, like with this kind of indices, you just have to show up after the market opens on a Monday, maybe give it Monday to kind of develop a little bit, and then just start flowing with it. Like for example, this week it was absolutely hard because you don't see any volatile imbalances. But again, being an index, probably your better friend is going to be like some sort of 1 hourly imbalances to really track where the 1 hourly is guiding you, because you can use the 1 hourly time frame again to drive you towards the hard time frame zones. Okay, so that's kind of how I also do it a little bit with the US indices, but we're getting very close to that all-time high, so I guess we can just pop to take it. But again, I'm not really doing this on any objective outlook, but we're tapping into that volatile imbalance that can definitely push the market higher towards all-time highs. And then after this, I would kind of love start seeing a little bit of a downtrend. I do see also the US indices are kind of due for a pullback, and if they collectively start flushing a little bit more, then this can also cause DAX to go down a little bit to fill a weekly imbalance. Because for me, DAX will really get tradable if we pull back into such a zone on the weekly and then have a very clear all-time high set, and then we have a very nice uptrend towards some new all-time high. So that's kind of my outlook, but I really don't have any expectations on it. No clear zones apart from that volatile zone. We can definitely pop all-time highs, but again, guys, what happens afterwards, then it's I just don't know, right? All right, so let's recap. Now on the DXY, I am definitely getting a little bit more of a bullish outlook. I do like the daily bullish holding here. I do like the very recent volatile time frame development. So if I really start seeing this one holding, I will then be focusing to target this liquidity. And of course, being bullish on the DXY, this means I should be a little bit more bearish on EU. But again, as you can see, I'm always giving two outlooks because as a trader, you should not be forecasting too much. You should be focusing on flowing with the market and what it actually tells you. So again, EU also looking with a very nice volatile bearish imbalance, pullback, and then potential to start targeting all the liquidity points. EU is my favorite, honestly. GU kind of looks even a little bit more bullish to me right now. It's not so convincing for the shorts. So in order for me to take a short on GU, I would really love to see some more bearish introduction. Aussie dollar and NZD dollar are also looking like more of a short, but they're more in a choppy market, in a choppy macro market. So what you can be really looking for is for the liquidity points to be fulfilled. I really like NZUSD because it has a lot of lows being stacked, and when the market usually does this, it becomes very easy targets. So NZUSD is my favorite. Gold, very 50-50 as well. With gold, again, as an instrument, you really have to be flowing with the market every single day, following the new imbalances that are created, and of course, following the overall sentiment of the market. Currently, we kind of are a little bit stuck in a transition potentially, again, having all the lower highs and lower lows, and currently forming potentially the first higher low, okay? But in order for me to really take a long trade, I will need to see volatile bullish imbalances created, and then of course target the first liquidity. And then after that, if we continue to go long, I would be looking for further longs. And then guess what? If we flip short, I'm going to be looking for the short. So a little bit uncertain buys on gold. USD JPYs and the JPYs are giving me a little bit more of a bearish outlook. Now USD JPY has a daily imbalance that is way higher, but EJ and GJ, they have it a lot closer, right? And they have that very recent bearish sentiment. So I'm definitely looking for more short setups on the JPYs. So let's see how that's gonna play out. If they tap into these daily imbalances, it would be great. And of course, indices are just absolutely rocketing. I would absolutely love to have a little bit of a pullback on the indices in order to trade them higher into new highs. So I would definitely appreciate some sort of liquidity being taken below lows like this, or tapping us into daily imbalances like that. But of course, if it continues going higher, I would definitely be looking for the longs. NQ is the strongest index right now. The ES and NQ, yeah, they're pretty much similar, right? So let's see if they're going to give us a little bit of a dip. YM also getting pretty strong, getting towards a monthly imbalance that can potentially cause the market to drop a little bit. That would also be nice. And then to continue looking for the longs. Again, with indices, it's all about flowing with the market. So it's very hard to be calling these macro moves and outlooks. So don't do that. Just focus on what is happening right now. And then DAX as well, I would really love to have a pullback on DAX. All right, it has like 3 weekly imbalances below us, so just at least one of them could get tapped, so then we can get some clarity towards what kind of high we can be targeting and some better price action. So that's really sweet, guys. Honestly, again, I really like, for example, pairs like EU for the shorts, pairs like NU for the shorts. Gold is always going to need a little bit more time to develop to show us what it wants to do. EJ and GJ are looking like shorts together with USD JPY. And as for GU, I will definitely give it a little bit more time. So hope you enjoyed this outlook. Let me know if you found value from it. Let me know what is your favorite pair looking for next week. And of course, let me know how you performed this week. Did you take any profitable trades? How did you do? Let me know in the comments. And I'm going to talk to you on the next outlook.